Grove interaction.
Something you know a little bit about.
I've been there, but the Punishing Fire Grove interaction is one that people have tried in a lot of different formats, and it's one that can be very, very, very powerful. When it's matched up against the proper deck, it looks like this matchup, it has potential to be very, very good.
It seems like a great matchup for it.
His opponent, Joel Sukhram, is playing a lot of creatures that Punishing Fire manages to machine gun down. He has Stoneforge Mystic, he has Vendilion Click, he has Noble Hierarch, he even has Mirroring Crusader, which is an interesting choice. Mirroring Crusader is a creature that has shown up a little bit in Legacy. It's particularly powerful against the black-blue-green decks that really only have Jace the Mind Sculptor to get rid of it. They rely on Tarmogoyf and Tombstalker for creature-based defense, and then kill their opponent's creatures with Go for the Throat and Smother and cards like that. So Mirroring Crusader can kill them very quickly, especially with equipment that Stoneforge Mystic brings along.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting. Two decks we haven't seen a lot of. I want to see this aggro Loam deck in action. I've always had a soft spot for aggro Loam. The first ever PTQ I won was with aggro Loam, actually. So love the deck.
I'm a huge fan of the card Life from the Loam. Actually, the deck,
my favorites. Yeah.
The deck that I won, the PTQ that brought me back to the Pro Tour was in fact a Life from the Loam deck. It was in extended. It was
Deathcloud, right?
There's no Deathcloud. It was basically the aggro Loam deck that Michael Jacob made top 8 at GB Philadelphia. Yeah, it had Worm Harvest. It had Bitter Blossom, which made Tarmogoyf very big, as we were talking about earlier today.
So off to the races, Joel Wasteland, Scott Robbins, turn 1 Savannah. Or Scrubland, perhaps.
And then we see a
Bio into Thoughtseize, revealing a bunch of lands.
And a Jace. So, well, that is a pretty unexciting hand.
What is that green card in the middle?
Yeah, it looks like there's... Maybe that's Zenith?
Might be Zenith, yeah. Jace and Zenith are the two options, I think, here.
So, yeah, you're going to guess you want to take Jace.
I think if I got to choose my title, I might be a level 50 Loam Mage. I don't know what Loam Mage is, but I want to be it.
So you're a mage who hangs out in the dirt?
Nothing wrong with a little bit of dirt.
So plays basic forest and that was the Noble Hierarch.
Okay, and Joel drew Swords of the Plowshares to add to his hand there.
All right, so Scott plays a Forgotten Cave, very much displaying quite clearly the sort of deck that he's playing.
Yeah, once you see the cycling land, the jig is kind of up. There's a few reasons to play that outside of Loam, I guess, unless you think you're facing Slide.
Vendilion Click.
Punishing Fire.
Boom, you're dead. So Click is going to take, let's Ignite the Reliquary, and is that, I can't really tell what's that next to it.
Oh, that's Loam. It's got
it is a Loam.
Golgari symbol.
Ooh, so that's a...
You probably have to take the Loam, right?
Yeah, you definitely want to take Life from the Loam, especially with the Swords of Plowshares in hand.
Yeah, Loam is pretty cool in this deck because you can keep dredging and find all your one-of targets. I mean, look at these lands. He has, of course, cycling lands.
The list of lands that he has takes up the entire section.
Carefully calculated.
He's got Maze, he's got Karakas, he's got Tabernacle, he's got Riftstone Portal, a bunch of different dual lands, Wasteland, Grove, and a bunch of cycling lands.
And of course, Grove the Burn Willows to help pump up those punishing fires.
Absolutely.
All right, Wasteland from Scott Robbins will take down that Tropical Island, it looks like.
Yeah, Wasteland your Trop. And pass the turn back.
Alright, so players just keep battling each other's board state back.
Oh, and that looks like a Knight that Joel just drew.
That is a Knight.
Knight is a creature that can survive Punishing Fire.
Is that a...
Knight is a creature that can survive most things, yep. So... Scott is now in a bit of trouble. That Knight can get out of hand very, very quickly. He only has 2 copies of Swords to Plowshares that can really effectively kill Knight of the Reliquary. Devastating Dreams, not the best answer tonight.
Yeah, I do not recommend that one.
He does have Burning Wish in his deck, which has a bunch of options from his sideboard. It has Life and Loam. It has, is that Retribution of the Meek? I don't even really remember what Retribution of the Meek does.
Let's find out. In addition to Retribution of the Meek, there's a Loam, of course. Devastating Dreams, Thoughtseize, Maelstrom Pulse, and Reverent Silence.
Yes.
Which is worth noting. Reverent Silence being the free spell that kills all the enchantments, I believe.
Yes, it's, you can pay 6 life and, or rather, give your opponent 6 life and cast it for free.
Retribution of the Meek. Destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater for white and 2.
Okay.
From Visions. Neat little card. I don't know if I've ever seen that card before.
It is in fact the opposite of consume the Meek. The Meek are getting eaten or they're getting angry, and in this case they're getting angry. So Scott plays a knight of his own, which is going to go farming. We know that Joel has a path in his hand.
Let's see. And yep, swords away that knight, and Scott will gain a little bit of life for the wheat that it tells for him. And Joel's
looks like he's
activating his knight, cracking his forest to get any land of his choice. Pick a land, any land. Where it stops. Nobody
Usually here you want to go get a. I mean, he could get a wasteland here. In other formats, you often knight for fetch into land, but the ability to get wasteland with Knight of the Reliquary makes it a particularly powerful weapon in Legacy.
Yeah, you can just continually wasteland if you have enough forests. Let's see. Joel still searching. Finally finds the wasteland that he's looking for, and wastes away. Looks like the bayou is probably what he's targeting.
Yeah. So right now Scott only has access to black mana through bayou. His other two land are the original art plateau that you do not see very often, and a Forgotten Cave, which does not produce very much mana. Only red.
Alright, let's see. And there is...
I think that's Burning Wish.
Yep, that's Burning Wish. That's Judge promo Burning Wish, I think.
So he's going to Burning Wish for, I imagine, probably maybe Maelstrom Pulse, though it's going to be difficult for him to ever cast a Maelstrom Pulse.
Perhaps the Meek will get some retribution on that.
Yeah, maybe the Meek are angry. There it is.
Yeah, there's retribution.
It's like here.
Instantly hits my.
I'm sure you have to read this.
Like, don't worry. Reminds me of when I had cast Burning Wish for Last Rites, and everyone always pick it up. Sweet.
Well, that was a card you played in Limited, so Last Rites, is at least a card that people should have seen. This is a. I literally don't think I've seen that card before.
It is. Yeah, I've never seen it before, or to my knowledge. Maybe like kicking around like Momir Zora late night on Magic Online, I might have seen it. Otherwise, I did not draft much Mirage Block. I think it's even rare, making it even harder to find.
So that knight is certainly 4 power. So
yep, and now it looks like it's about to be 7 power, crunching into Scott's face.
We see the theme of Legacy with shuffling.
That is a theme. So true. Break out your psychogenic probes.
So Joel draws.
Draws a Force of Will.
That's a pretty good draw. Protect that Knight of the Reliquary.
Does he have another blue card?
I think he does. Actually, no. Actually, I don't know that he did. It looks like a Batter Skull in his hand.
I think his hand is just Batter Skull.
Yeah, so he actually can't cast that Force of Will, and he doesn't have the mana to generate for Knight to do that either. So it looks like he's going to be going for the Wasteland plan again, maybe?
And just waste the plateau?
I'm guessing that's his plan. Trying to keep Scott off of the ability to actually cast Retribution of the Meek.
I don't know if I like Joel's plan here. Like, he doesn't have anything to do once he's out of lands.
It's gonna leave him. It's like if Scott has another land, like he has that fetch land, which pretty clearly can get another white source. You'd be pretty shocked if there were not another plateau or a savannah or something in Scott's deck. Let's take a look. Actually, yeah, he has a savannah he can get at least with that Windswept Heath. He only has the one plateau, so.
And so Scott plays Caracas, which trades with Joel's Caracas. They're both legendary, leaving Joel with no lands whatsoever.
But now he can't cast Retribution, right?
Correct. Not yet. Not till next turn. He cracks his Wood Foothills, though. Seems like Scott's going to be casting something this turn.
I'm not sure I agree with him using that Wooded Foothills here. He needs to. I mean, maybe he has another collared another fetch land in his hand. Yeah, he must have another fetch land to go get the white mana in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's gonna be
casting. It does seem a little odd for him to, if he has another land in his hand though, to play the Caracas rather than actually just cast the Retribution and kill that knight right now.
Drew Levin and a couple others point out on Twitter that Retribution of the Meek is a good way to beat Natural Order Progenitus.
Interesting.
Wishboard way to do that. It's been around a little since Chicago, but since not many decks, are white and have Burning Wish and aren't trying to kill you with Storm,
gotcha,
you don't see it that often. All right, so Joel crunches in with Knight, and Tarmogoyf not going to jump in the way. Scott Robbins' Tarmogoyf faces off against Joel's Knight and Noble Hierarch, but Joel has no lands.
Wow.
No third land for Joel.
He really got Taiga there too.
Find a land here. Did he find it?
It seems like he had to get a white source if he's.
He found a land. That was bad lands for Dark Confidant. That'll do another round of blocking.
That does very, very little.
Force is
wow. So
that's it.
So Scott Robbins had the option, I believe, to search for Savannah there.
I think Savannah might have got wasted earlier.
Maybe Savannah was so it's possible he just had no white mana left. Okay, that could be that makes a lot more sense than him just choosing to get Taiga and leaving that Retribution stranded in his hand.
Kind of awkward to get Retribution on the Meek then if you think your opponent's going to keep wasting.
Right.
You out.
Yeah. I mean, he could have gotten Maelstrom Pulse, but he only had access to red white in play at the moment. So
right, it's a long stretch to get Maelstrom Pulse. Maybe that was his only chance. I don't know. Had to hope his opponent would go for it. Regardless, Joel Sukhram and his Stoneforge Bant deck takes the first game. Let's go to the boards. Cards out of Scott Robbins' deck I could see. Bajuka Bog is a possibility with Nether Reliquary, searched up, hit their knights. Mm-hmm. Maelstrom Pulse, you probably don't want to bring that one in.
I mean, you're playing a wish board, so your sideboard is pretty poor overall. You don't get to do much tooling with your deck. He does have 3 copies of Red Elemental Blast, which he could bring in to fight Jace and to fight against the counter magic out of the Bant deck.
The interesting thing about a wish board is you do have all these one-of targets, but there are some matchups where you're just never going to have the time to wish for a certain card, or you're always going to wish for another card instead. So sometimes you bring in you'll bring in your Maelstrom Pulse just because you don't think you're ever going to wish for it profitably. And I can see him doing that if there's a card or two in here, like maybe he Devastating Dreams or Maelstrom Pulse or something, or Thoughtseize that he just would rather have in his deck instead of in his sideboard.
I'm really not a big fan of the wishes in general. I generally, I think sideboard cards are so important. The ability to sort of tool your deck to play better in games 2 and 3 against pretty much anything you play with. You spend so many cards in your sideboard and spend so much time wishing that they often just come up short. If your deck is so reliant on a particular card that you really need 7 copies of it with wishes in your main deck and one in your sideboard, that I can see.
If you're playing a combo deck,
right? If you're playing some sort of combo deck, but for a more utility-based deck, I typically am not a big fan of wishes at all.
I think that wishes have been corrected aggro a little bit in the past, but Legacy, when you have so many robust options, it might not be the best choice.
I mean, I'm not saying that that it's specifically a mistake for any given deck to have it. I personally don't like decks that use them.
Right, I agree. It really limits your options. It just gives you less play.
Right, you have far less ability to customize your deck to beat what you're playing against. I mean, sideboard slots are at an enormous premium. They're so valuable. You play far more of your game sideboarded than not, and Wishes giving you access to some of those cards in game 1. I mean, I think you see a lot of tutor boards that are kind of similar. Though those I think the tutor boards that are tutoring for hoser cards, those I think are generally I like those more because they have a more compact use of those sideboard slots in terms of the value you're getting out of them. Like the Enlightened Tutor, the Enlightened Tutor boards that can tutor for like Null Rod, that can tutor for Serenity. Those seem like they're at least high enough impact when you do bring them in that they're worth spending a significant number of slots on your board. I mean, the cards that Scott has in his sideboard here don't seem the sort of cards that I would really want to wish for. I mean, granted, Life in the Loam is very, very important for the deck, but it's like, well, you have a Thoughtseize to get, you have this Retribution of the Meek. I mean, they're generally relatively inefficient cards that you're using, and you're making, or rather, they're efficient cards that you're using, but they're inefficient. Inefficient to get them because you have to Burning Wish for them.
I mean, the trade-off with the wishes is basically you have less utility in games 2 and 3 in exchange for a little more in game 1 sometimes, which is a trade that's seldom. It's not always worth making. When I play wish boards, the one thing I always try and do though is make my wish board as small as possible. I want it to be super compact. Realistically, I don't really want more than like 4 cards in a wish board because if I'm willing to trade 4 sideboard slots maybe, but when you're trading 6, 7 slots like Scott's doing here, that's half of his sideboard dedicated to this.
And it's not just have your sideboard slots. It's you can't even mess with those slots. You can't even bring cards in and out very well. Your wishes, a lot of your wishes lose a ton of utility as the games progress too. After you've wished once, you've gotten the one good card you had in your sideboard for a particular matchup, and now each wish you draw is pretty blank.
Right.
You're also doing these things very inefficiently. You increase your likelihood of drawing a key card, but you're increasing dramatically the mana cost of actually using it.
Yeah, agree. It's like I said, wishes something I try not to play with too much, and when I do, I want to keep them compact. But we'll see how they treat Scott Robbins here. And like I said, you can always bring in some of your one-ofs. How do we feel this matchup is in general?
I mean, it's not a matchup that I'm familiar with. It looks like the decks would match up. I think pretty. The game 1 looked like Scott Robbins was going to have a pretty significant edge, but then Joel was able to draw into one of his Knight of the Reliquaries. Knight of the Reliquary seems like Joel's most important card as far as being able to significantly pressure Scott Robbins. With Punishing Fire in his deck, Scott's able to deal with a lot of the cheap utility creatures that Joel has, and he needs the big beef of Knight of the Reliquary in order to take the games down. It's interesting. I'm looking at his deck. He has 1 copy of Tarmogoyf, 2 copies of Knight of the Reliquary. I don't see Green Sun Zenith anywhere.
So he's not Zenithing at all.
He has no Zeniths in his deck.
That's such a staple card for so many green decks.
Yeah, he has. He doesn't have the Dryad Arbor. Doesn't have Zenith. He has the one Tarmogoyf seems very strange to me when you have no Zeniths.
I guess he has one more slot. Why not Tarmogoyf?
I got a Tarmogoyf. I'll throw it in.
Yeah, or maybe he just doesn't have them.
Yeah.
A couple different options. See what,
all right,
see what
so
happens. I think they both mulligan to
we're
6.
back, and Scott Robbins. He has the very powerful Mox Diamond. It looks like, is that a Leyline of the Void?
I believe he started the game with Leyline of the Void in play.
That's an interesting card for him to board in.
Is it really that good in this matchup?
I don't think it is.
It just shuts off Knight of the Reliquary.
It just makes Knight smaller. I guess if Joel had more than one Tarmogoyf, it would help shrink his Tarmogoyfs, but that seems like a very odd choice to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it just helps Knight battles. It's not really worth that to me. We'll see how it plays out for Scott this game. Caps 2. There's a Tarmogoyf for Scott Robbins.
Well, he has 4 of them, so they apparently did not mulligan. It only looks like they mulligan because there was a Leyline and a Mox Diamond.
Like 6 cards. All right, mulligans. Misty Rainforest for Joel Sukhram.
So Joel's hand looks like it has a Swords to Plowshares and a Brainstorm. Trying to figure out where his Remove from Game pile is. For now, it's all of them.
Going to find Savannah off that fetch line. And let's see. There was a Noble Hierarch here. I guess he has no Green Sun Zenith, right? So that seems pretty likely.
It's very likely a Noble Hierarch that he's playing on his first turn.
Nope, he's going to go for Swords on Tarmogoyf before it gets too big. Alright, so board state is Mox Diamond, Leyline of the Void, Taiga versus Savannah, and Scott Robbins untaps. If he has a land, he could lay something pretty threatening here, like a Knight of the Reliquary potentially.
Or another Tarmogoyf. A bit less threatening, but still
plenty good.
Well, it's actually not very good. It's currently a Squire. That Leyline of the Void is preventing his opponent's Source of Plowshares from boosting it. And Source of
Well
Plowshares,
done, well done.
Source of Plowshares took his fellow out of the game, so we only have lands.
Stoneforge for Joel Sukhram.
Stoneforge goes and fetches. I imagine we'll probably see a Batterskull here.
Let's see. And
So, oh, he gets Sword of Light and Shadow. That's a card that has a much less impact when Blade of the Void is in play.
yeah, and interesting. Doesn't get past that Tarmogoyf. I know he was looking at Feast and Famine for a little while.
He has Feast and Famine as well?
Is it in his deck?
Yeah, he has Feast and Famine, Light and Shadow, Batterskull. No Fire Ice. Does he have Batterskull in his hand already?
See, he draws a forest.
So,
yeah, Squire Goyf not doing
that
so much.
Is pretty unimpressive.
There's Mirror Crusader. And that Crusader can certainly swing past that Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, Mirror Crusader is a very threatening creature here. Tarmogoyf, even if it was big enough, could not get in the way. And there's Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale.
Okay.
So that's gonna make life pretty difficult for Joel. He has gonna have to pay upkeep for each of his creatures. It looks like he may use his Stoneforge Mystic to put that sword into play, then let it go.
I'm pretty surprised he got Light and Shadow out of all the swords.
Well, I mean, I guess with the Mirror Crusader, it gives it additional protection, so it can't be plowed. It also will very much win any race with 6 life gain per turn if it's on the Mirror Crusader.
It's also true.
So Feast and Famine is just going to make his opponent discard, and he doesn't really have all that much use for the extra mana.
All right, Joel serves him for 4.
So
dropping Scott to 16.
That right now that Tabernacle is not too impressive. So is this Devastating Dreams?
I mean, dream big.
Yep.
That's Burning Wish, I think.
No, that is Burning Wish.
So Burning Wish for Devastating
Maybe he's
Dreams.
going to Burning Wish for the Dreams.
And we could absolutely crush Joel's board position next turn.
There it is, Devastating Dreams.
Yeah.
So Joel
reads the dreams.
Not familiar.
This could, the one color he doesn't have protection from, red.
Yep.
And that could be a huge breaker.
Nope. Drew his card. Wow,
Whoops. All right, well, but I don't need to dream so much anymore.
All right, so Dreams is not what's going to be killing that Mirror Crusader. It's going to be Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale.
Wow.
So Joel fetches.
So now I wonder what Scott's game plan is here. Because he knows Joel has Wastelands in his deck. He doesn't want to get wasted out. And he lost his own Tarmogoyf because he couldn't pay upkeep on it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, his long-term plan clearly involves for life from the loan. And if he knew that his opponent was going to not pay upkeep, he probably would have gotten that instead of. That's a card that's going to put a crypt in his plans no matter what he's doing.
Jace the Mind
Sculptor. Fate Seals Scott. Debating long and hard about whether to keep that on top. So Jace is a card that looks like it's pretty problematic for Scott Robbins' deck. A lot of aggro loam decks tend to play a bunch of copies of Maelstrom Pulse.
Right.
Because it can deal with a lot of troublesome permanents.
We see one in his sideboard.
Scott only has one, and it's in his sideboard, and we've already seen him use a Burning Wish.
No, there's a second Burning Wish.
There's another one. So
like we were talking about, though, it just takes so much time. You wasted your turns just casting Burning Wish.
And, previously he Burning Wished before to go get the Devastating Dreams.
Now
he's going again, and he is really not developing his board. With that loam, he can start, actually getting some more land into play. But so is this Fate Seal again? Looks like he may just be going for the ultimate victory.
Yeah, which isn't that hard in this position.
Right. I mean, Scott Robbins is not in any position to actually attack Jace the Mind Sculptor. Joel has a handful of cards. We don't know exactly what they are at this point. But if he has, just a couple counter spells, like he could very easily protect that Jace long enough to ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, he's on 7 counters now, so that's 4 turns.
And there's Knight of the Reliquary, who is not very impressive, thanks to Leyline of the Void.
She does not to equip Sword of Light and Shadow, which might be kind of a tell, or a bluff, whichever Scott Robinson thinks it is.
He does leave blue up.
Looks like
I believe he's casting Loam.
Okay, so he gets some mana.
Looks like Joel has Brainstorm, Swords to Plowshares. I can't tell if he has more cards in hand. So the Loam resolves.
All right, gets back a couple lands.
We'll see if that Knight sticks around through upkeep. So Brainstorm. Not sure I would Brainstorm then.
Yeah, I don't think I would. Like you're in a good position. I don't know you have cards to throw away.
I mean, you're not in a constrained mana position. At worst, you could just untap and then Brainstorm during your after your draw step.
Right, your main phase. I think you're fine. Like you just see one card deeper that way, and you have more cards to put back. Mm-hmm. Unless I guess you're planning to Knight and shuffle your deck.
Well, but I mean, you can do that after,
your turn,
after that point too. Yeah. So is he gonna pay for the Tabernacle?
I do recommend paying for Tabernacle. Don't want to lose 2 creatures.
So yeah, he's pay for Tabernacle, and then use Knight. I imagine is what's happening here.
At a Grand Prix Chicago, which was Legacy, I was playing a blue-white control deck, and I was working with Chris Lockman, and we had 2 Wraths in our deck. And he suggested that we just cut a Wrath for a Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale, because so often it's just the same thing. It just kills all their creatures anyway.
It's like, go. And they're like, oh, look, all my creatures are dead.
You're just like, yeah, you're like, Island, Mishra's Factory, Island, Wasteland, Tabernacle, go. And, they just draw their card. Everything dies. Depends how chatty you are. Definitely get away if you're chatty.
I mean, I believe technically you're supposed to know it's a mandatory effect, paying an upkeep. The choice is yes or no. I mean, if they do progress beyond it, then they've missed their opportunity to pay. But I believe that. I mean, it's sort of weird. It's like the pact thing. Like someone plays a pact. Like Kenji will remind them. Kenji will say, "Oh, you got to pay for pact."
Right.
But it is an effect that they are required to resolve, and it's technically a decision that you have to make, yes or no. So it's a weird spot with some things like that.
Sure. I mean, if your opponent draws your card, just assume they don't pay.
Right.
That shows no, and all the creatures die. So Joel casts Stoneforge Mystic, gets Batterskull, but Joel lost 1 casualty to Tabernacle, not going to lose any more, judging by his play. Let's see. So, gonna serve with that Knight or no?
So Knight is
alright, activate.
A mighty. Oh, I thought he was attacking. It's like that guy. That's not a very impressive Knight. It's 2/2.
And what do you think you find? Do you go for a Wasteland and start wasting out Scott Robbins?
I mean, Wasteland.
But against Life and Loam, it's kind of a weak choice.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is. Oh, Bajuka Bog.
Bajuka Bog, get your Life for the Loam.
Okay, that's
I like your style.
That matters. That's a relevant effect.
All right, yeah, that's pretty good. I like it. So, Joel will get Bajuka Bog, and then likely just going to pass the turn. Maybe equip Sword if he wants. Although he kept 2 up last turn, he'll likely keep 2 up again.
Right.
And Jay's sitting on 9 counters.
So Scott is fetching, it looks like.
Yeah, so let's see. Scott Robbins' board is Bayou, Taiga, Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, Mox Diamond, and Leyline of the Void. Joel's got quite a bit going on over there. He's got 5 lands, including Caracas, Bajuka Bog. He has Stoneforge Mystic, Sword of Light and Shadow, Knight of the Reliquary, and Jace the Mind Sculptor with 9 counters. Just 3 short turns away from exiling Scott's entire library.
Jace is starting to end this game in very short order, and as far as I can tell, Scott's really not in much position to do much about it. He
That's Maze of Ith, I think.
Is it?
It's either Maze or Wasteland.
It's a DCI something.
Yeah, Maze or Wasteland. I think it's Judge Maze of Ith.
So there's a knight on Scott's side,
which currently looks to be a 3/3. Next to that wooden
yes.
foothill.
So it looks like Scott's asking someone a question.
Doesn't look like a judge though.
Doesn't look like a judge.
His opponent is not there.
Oh, what's going on?
He's talking to a judge away from the table.
Okay, looks like he was probably asking a question about how a card works.
Seems like he probably got clarification.
So Joel Sukhram back to the table. So looks like his hand is that kind of looks like Path to Exile. It's a white card.
Definitely can't tell for this angle.
So this is upkeep.
Batterskull.
It's a Batterskull to play.
And don't pay for... I think he's probably asking if you had to pay the upkeep on
That was probably the question.
And the answer is no, because...
The Tabernacle effect goes on at once.
Yep, and if anything comes into play after that, it won't trigger until next upkeep. So he's going to pay for the Knight of the Reliquary.
And pay for the Batterskull. Scott making sure the tokens are 4 to represent the power and toughness of the creature.
And he'll just let Stoneforge Mystic die, it looks like. Alright, Stoneforge heads to the graveyard. Draws.
Number 21.
Oh, he wanted to know if Tabernacle would trigger before you can Wasteland and blow it up.
Okay.
So could he Wasteland? That night find Wasteland.
Got it. That makes sense.
Once again, the answer is no. Upkeep happens instantly. You don't get any priority in the untapped stuff.
Yes.
Not much you can do. So
goes against Wasteland and kills Tabernacle. So he's letting.
Why'd you now? See, you should wait till he pays his upkeep on his night at least. So he's to pay 1.
Probably,
right?
yeah.
Probably it's correct to do it at the end of Scott's turn, but
he also used his mana. He has a Caracas, right? Caracas and a Savannah there. I probably would have pathed that night, or at least left up mana. Oh, okay. He has a dual land.
all right. Jace on 11 counters. 2 more turns till Jace goes ultimate. Scott's got another Reliquary, but I don't know if it'll be fast enough.
Joel, I believe that is Path to Exile. So Knight of the Reliquary is not going to get an opportunity to attack
Joel
Jace.
leaves Punishing Fire on top of Scott's library, which will make that Jace go a little slower.
Punishing Fire, interesting. I guess if he leaves Punishing Fire on top, I think he has to path the Knight now. And I think that if he was going to do that, I think he would really want to path first and then use the Jace so he knows what's on top. Well, he was gonna pay upkeep anyway.
No, don't need to pay upkeep anymore. So he draws the Punishing Fire. Does not pass. And no Grove of the Burn Willow, so he does have Punishing Fire.
Well, he has the Knight. So Knight represents Grove of the Burn Willows.
Right.
And Punishing Fire can kill Joel's Knight. I don't understand giving him Punishing Fire.
Jace. Why would you leave him with Punishing
I don't,
Fire?
especially when he has the ability to Knight for Grove. It's just a very, very strange.
And you didn't path the Knight either. That is really weird. Out of all the cards you could leave, Punishing Fire was one of the worst ones that I don't know. It's probably one of the worst ones you could have left.
Yeah, that's if I could stack my opponent's deck, Punishing Fire would not be a card I put on top of it.
Assuming that was punishing fire, which I'm pretty sure it was.
Ace Betsy, please come on out for $10.
Looks like he's casting Devastating Dreams right here.
Okay.
So maybe you didn't see that properly.
Well, we know he has the dreams from when he wished for it earlier.
Right.
And dreaming seems pretty good here.
So is he casting it for 4, perhaps?
Cast it for 4, wipe Joel's entire board, attack and kill that Jace. Seems okay.
So how does this work? Does he have to?
So it's part of the cost.
It's part of the cost.
10 minutes left in the round, so it's part of the cost. So he has to discard before Joel does anything else.
So he's randomly determining which card he keeps, I imagine.
So he keeps that card and he discards 4 cards.
So Joel is going to path that knight in response.
Can't see what any of those are. Thought I saw Punishing Fire, but it's possible that there's just another Devastating Dreams. Knight gets huge,
But knight gets pathed, so
and then Knight gets passed. So it gains a little. Well, I guess it doesn't gain any life. Just gets a basic land. No
Right.
extra basic lands for you. All right. Yep. And there's the path. So all this Devastating Dreams is going to do is reset the board and leave an active Jace in play, which seems like it favors Joel
yeah, this
pretty
seems
heavily.
like a pretty bad spot for Scott Robbins. He's facing a
Jace is going to go ultimate in 2 turns.
he's facing a Jace on 11,
Oh my.
and all of Joel's creatures die. He keeps 1 land in play. Scott Robbins will also have 1 land, I believe, maybe 2 thanks to Path to Exile.
I was doing it for 4, so I mean that path resolves. He's going to have to sacrifice the land that he gets.
Oh, does he only have 3 land left?
Yeah, he will keep the Mox Diamond, so
Yeah,
he'll
he'll have a Mox Diamond.
But it's going to be hard pressed to fight off that Jason time. Alright, Dreams resolves. Packs up all their lands. Not scooping, but
That knight is. Knight should be. Yeah, that knight's out of here.
it's gone.
All those
Joel's
guys are out of
Knight
here.
And Germ Token are gone. So he wipes the board except for his opponent's Jace, which is like the most important card.
Yeah.
And he basically decided if Joel had the path, he had it. And he had it, which is bad news for Scott Robbins.
So Jace on 11. Jace to 13.
Alright, that's a crucial number. Fate seal you, and if he leaves it on top, Scott's
The really
hard
awkward
to
thing is I mean, I guess that knight would have gotten to attack and would have been very, very big.
Yeah, like if it would have attacked and killed the Jace. Or, at least dealt a lot of damage to that Jace. Alright, so he left it on top. And Jace goes ultimate next turn. Plays Wood Foothills. Does he have Punishing Fire? If his last card is Punishing Fire, then he could delay Jace for a turn. Still don't know what that's doing for him, but at least, buys a turn, see what happens. And what is it? Looks like Tarmogoyf, pass, ultimate you. You have no deck.
Yeah, he literally has no card in hand.
Yep.
Ultimate Jace. Is he reading the ultimate? So how does this actually work?
Like, just to make sure I'm not
I've
missing
never done
anything.
this before.
Alright, I will remove 12 loyalty counters to target you. Scott removes his library from the game.
Your turn. And there we have it. So
There it is.
Joel Sukhram takes the match on the back of Jace's ultimate. 2 games to 0.
Such a powerful planeswalker. It's just insane how good that card is.
Jace is pretty